Okay,
That's a polite way of saying straighten up.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay, it's 1 o'clock. I'm going to call the July 2nd Board of Commissioner meeting to order. Today, we're going to have the prayer by Commissioner Heberling, followed by the pledge by myself.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for the opportunity to come and join together as elected officials of our community. And Lord, as we lead up to the 4th of July, Lord, we just thank you for the freedoms that we have in America. We thank you for the men and women that gave the ultimate sacrifice, Lord, that we may have a freedom of speech and a freedom of gathering together. And we just thank you and praise you for all the blessings you bestowed upon us. We ask that you would be with us in this meeting as we make decisions today as elected officials of our community. And we ask that you would help us to make the right decisions. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Leslie, roll call, please.
District 1, Chairman John Block.
Present.
District 2, Commissioner Roger Ballard. District 3, Commissioner Gary Heberling.
Here.
District 4, Commissioner Bill Sarkella.
Here.
District 5, Commissioner Christine Lee. Here. District 6, Commissioner Evans Ehart.
Present.
District 7, Commissioner John Moody is absent.
Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
If there are no corrections or deletions to today's agenda, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion.
Good motion made by Commissioner Ehart, supported by Commissioner Ballard. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Agenda is adopted. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve our meeting minutes from June 18th.
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarkella. Is there support?
Support.
Support from Commissioner Lee. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. You received your correspondence from Jody through email the other day. We're going to move into commissioner reports, and we'll start with Commissioner Ehart.
I stopped in for my township meeting on Thursday. I wasn't able to go, but I stopped and talked to them before they had their meeting and gave them my notes, and there was nothing new on their agenda, business as usual, and that's all.
Okay. I fielded a phone call from Austin Township. They have a solar developer coming, asking questions, and so they had questions about ordinances and things of that nature. And I may be attending a meeting there soon to give them some assistance with that. And I will be in Marion Township tonight. That's all I have. Christine?
I attended the PEC council meeting and they were setting their salaries for their chairs and their committees and then their fees and their clerk. And the water and sewer rates are going up. And the council is having a hard time getting 7 people to run for their council. So they were discussing whether they want to in the future go from 7 members down to 5. And that's about it on that. And then I sent my minutes to the Elk Township Board because I was out of the state.
Thank you, Christine. Bill?
Carsonville, their fire department gave an update, their water project's moving forward. And they're still attempting to find all the hookups or their curb stops. Guess that's been an issue for them, but they're moving forward with everything on that. And then Buell Township, they've had to move their meetings to Friday evenings for a period of time because a couple of their trustees are a married couple and they just had a new baby, couldn't find a babysitter for Tuesday night. So they've got one for Fridays. So I went down there on a Friday night, cost me an ice cream at Bunny's, but that's okay. Anyways, the audit passed, ARPA funds, they're going to be doing a security installation there. And they're doing some electronic training for their new inspectors, and they signed all their EMS contracts. That's all I have.
Thank you, Bill. Gary?
I attended Sandusky City Council last night meeting and nothing really to report on. And then tonight I have a Watertown Township meeting and a Parks and Recreation Board meeting.
Good. Thank you, Gary. Roger?
Last night I attended City of Marlette. They approved sending the marijuana ordinance that was drafted by the city attorney onto their planning commission. And that'll come back to them with any recommendations, whether or not they approve it or not. That was kind of up in the air. It's hard to tell right now how that vote's going to go. They approved a sewer connection for McDonald Chevy. They're out in the township. They approved the agreement. They will pay 1.5 times the city rate. One of the council members was not in favor of that. He didn't think they were paying enough. In the event that there's catastrophic failure at the sewer plant, the residents foot the majority of the bill and they get off kind of easy. So, but it did pass. They're beginning discussion on replacement of water lines in the city. There's quite a bit of 4-inch line that needs to be increased to 8. And there's also still lead water lines that need to be replaced. So that's in the early stages. They put some lots on Carpenter Street that the city owns out for bid. There's a cul-de-sac back in there. In the past, they've sold a couple and they ended up getting them back. There's never been anything built back in there. They are putting a stipulation in for the bids that they have to have a house on that lot within 12 months. I would have gone further and said it has to be occupied within 12 months, but we'll see how that goes. They approved a location of a 90 by 150 foot dog park within the city park. So the park committee has raised $9,900 towards a dog park for fencing and whatever else they can get. And they'll be having ongoing fundraisers for that. And they approved selling the former police vehicle, a Ford Explorer. And last Thursday, the Palm Bicycle Tour pedaled across Lower Michigan, came into town. We live like a block from the high school, and that's where they fed them in the morning, or that night and in the morning. They had over 475 bicyclists camped out. It was quite a sight. Then in the morning on Friday, my wife and I drank our coffee on the deck and watched them all pedal by.
They went through Lexington too.
People of all ages. I mean, older than me, even older than Gary. Like
Somehow I knew that was
I
coming.
was impressed. I really was impressed. It's quite a sight to see all of them. And it was, we were through town that night. All of the businesses, the eateries were all doing great business and ice cream bar and everything. So it was a good shot in the arm for Marlette.
They brought all their wallets with them.
Yes, they did. Yep. They have quite an entourage of support vehicles, motorhomes and trailers and pickups and
Yeah,
I can't imagine what it takes to put that event on.
yeah.
Yeah, so it was good. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Roger. Appreciate everyone's commissioner reports. Nathan, your administrator report, please.
Yes, thank you. Wanted to, I guess, start out by just updating you guys. I think I noted last time the health department project would be starting soon. We had a meeting last week, and the builder is looking at July 11th potentially as a start date. So something that for you guys to be aware of, and I noted with the builder is he's going to be right into the midst of building during fair time. So that's going to potentially jeopardize some things down there. I mean, he's gonna have a fencing area, he's gonna have materials. It's gonna be very crowded down there, I guess, during fair time. I know sometimes that parking lot's used as an overflow. It's just gonna be a lot going on down at the health department building during that time, so.
How long is that gonna go through?
But he was estimating that he's hoping that he can get it completed within about 5 to 6 weeks, he said, but it's always hard to say because he's
That's
got
gonna
to
be during fair time then.
if it starts July 11th,
Yeah.
it'll probably hit right during that time. So, and that's tentatively starting on that date. He had another gentleman there who's doing window installs, and if windows don't come in at certain times and doors and things. So, just wanted to keep you guys in the loop on that. When it officially starts, I'll let you know. Attended the senior fair on Friday. It was a good event. There was a lot of seniors that came out, seniors being the older folks, not the high school seniors. A lot of them that came out, there was a lot of good raffles, a lot of community involvement. And so Eric there, he got a lot of opportunity to bounce around and see people. So I think it was a good event, well attended, some good presentations for the seniors as well. So. Another thing at hand, we are working on the land bank grant, and we had a meeting with Samantha Schnettler, the EDC director, a couple weeks ago, Kim attended, it was a couple weeks ago, and through that, we recognized that as part of this grant, that Huron EDC could assist us in the administration of those grant dollars. And I've worked on, Samantha and I have bounced back and forth a memorandum of understanding, and I think they're gonna provide the administration oversight for that grant for us, because it'll be a little bit of an undertaking outside the realm of what they typically do. So we felt putting together an MOU would be best. So once we get that in place, we'll bring it through and have that vetted through the board. So. And I do have an RFP out right now for the chill grant that we were working on for a third-party administrator for that as well. That's for the housing rehabilitation. And we'll see what agencies are interested in kind of putting in for that third-party administrator. That was the grant where there was both approximately $500,000 roughly for housing rehabs locally. So they'll handle everything from the applications people would apply with them. And then they would have contractors and see it through and billing and everything. The third party administrator will do a lot of the, because it's gonna be pretty involved with reporting and documentation, so.
Because that's an opportunity for residents to upgrade windows, doors, installation, things of that nature.
Yeah, and I guess I should have prefaced, there's $410,000 for that and $90,000 potentially for the third party administrator, so there's some administrative fees for that one. And lastly, I wanted to let you guys know, I'm hoping, Commissioner Black and I talked this morning, I am very hopeful that we are near the finish line on our MREC windmill litigation. We've heard this sometimes before, I want to say that we were close and then things haven't worked out, but I think the agreement that is in place with Constellation right now, I think both parties agree it's probably about as good as it's gonna get. Thankfully for the county, what it's allowed us to do is the potential for, we're going to get a reduction of a third of the overall the money that was appealed. So that gets reduced, and there is the potential for, if repowering is granted by any of the townships, for the whole refund to be forgiven. So they're gonna forgive a third of the money right away, and then they are going to, they're saying they're potentially gonna come to the townships for repowering, and if repowering is granted, the rest of the money is then forgiven. So we're gonna be in a little bit of a holding pattern immediately, because a third of the money is gonna be forgiven, but there's gonna be this potential liability that's out there. And then they have approximately 10 years as it's laid out to come to the townships to ask for repowering. And if at any time in the years repowering is granted, townships owe nothing, which would then remove that liability from the county as well. So we'll see.
It's been 12 years in the making. This, I mean, it all stems from a dispute when the turbines were originally constructed as to what table for depreciation was used. The township stuck with the table that was more advantageous for them. The developers didn't want that. That's been the back and forth. And the agreement that Nathan's outlined is, I mean, it's unfortunate that those dollars potentially would have to be returned, because I will always say the first thing a developer does in your community is tells you how great the tax revenue is going to be. So I always like to stick them with that, but it is, I mean, it's not great, but it's a whole lot better than what the total amount would have been, because some of those numbers are pretty scary. And it provides the township the opportunity, if they do want to wish to provide the developer with repower, that they may not have to pay any of that money back at all. And the hope is moving forward that if the STC table is used, that these taxation issues related to this type of development should hopefully be over with. Although, just as everybody in this room can go and contest their assessment every year that they get from the assessor in their community, it's possible that we'll continue to see that kind of activity, but we're certainly hoping not. So, sorry, Nathan.
No,
Take over here.
it's good information. I think the other thing that I just wanted to hit on was that I did watch the I don't know if any of you had the opportunity, but Max sent around the little webinar based on alternative energy, and there was some good information there. And the big thing is townships just have to be aware that this is moving forward, so they're gonna want to put something in place so they're prepared, because the companies are gonna be coming and they're gonna be approaching townships, they're gonna be approaching residents, and I think a couple of you already attested to that at the last meeting, that as you're going out to meetings, you're seeing folk from DTE, others will be coming and knocking. I saw in the paper last week, Samsung's, still working through things with Watertown, so I think they're gonna get more aggressive with this moving forward.
Yeah, and we've regularly had representatives from DT and other companies and even our county planning meetings. So they are actively out.
That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for Nathan? Hearing none, Nathan, I appreciate your administrative report. At this time, I'm going to call for public comments pertaining to the agenda. Are there any public comments pertaining to the agenda today? Seeing none, we will move on. I see no need for 13A or 13B or even 14. We have no general resolutions today. Or wait, we do.
Yeah.
Yep. That 2 meetings in a row, grouped up resolutions. Well, Roger is going to read this resolution for us, though.
Yes. Are we ready?
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Resolution supporting the Cass River crossing for the Amish community. Whereas there is a populated Amish community that live in the township surrounding the village of Cass City, and whereas many in the Amish community routinely and regularly seek goods and services available in the village, and whereas the route for travel to the village includes a state highway, M53, with a posted speed limit of 55 miles per hour, and my comment, that's only suggested apparently.
Yeah.
Whereas tragically, there have been many vehicle and horse and buggy accidents that have resulted in serious injury or loss of life. Therefore, be it resolved that the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners recommends and supports the use of DNR land to create an access road for the Amish community to bypass traveling on M53 and take a safer route of Greenland Road to the Cass River to be financed and built by the Amish. Therefore, be it resolved that the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners recommends and supports the construction of a bridge across the Cass River to Kelly Road as a route for Amish buggies to travel to Cass City. Therefore, be it resolved that a certified copy of this resolution be sent to the Tuscola Board of Commissioners, State Representative Greg Alexander, State Senator Dan Lowers, and the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this resolution be spread upon the proceedings of the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners the 2nd day of July, 2024.
Support. I have a resolution offered by Commissioner Ballard, supported by Commissioner Heberlein. Is there any discussion?
I just want to say one thing. I've had a couple people come up to me since our last meeting and they said, why is the commissioners paying for this bridge and this road? And we're not.
Right.
It clearly states in there.
Yeah, and there was
Yeah.
I did hear a question somewhere that, who's paying for the bridge? Well, the Amish are funding this whole thing.
Yep.
And I'm gonna assume maintenance too, but that's something I would look into, but I'm sure they will.
I was gonna ask who's gonna drop this resolution off to the Amish, because I'm about 98% that they're not watching it. Of us reading it right now.
Oh, you never know.
Yeah.
Oh, you never know.
You never know. Word spreads fast in the
Okay.
community.
And I want to thank Commissioner Heberlein and Commissioner Ballard because they were two that kind of moved this issue forward here at the board. This affects Rogers and Ice districts the most. I mean, we're the ones that have the districts out that way. We have the Amish community. I can't even begin to imagine how much better this, if we can get this accomplished, how much better it'll be for the Amish community, but it'll be good for everybody else too, to get those buggies off some of those busy roads. It'd be safer and better for everybody.
The
So,
way traffic flies up 53 going north over that hill,
yeah,
and it's a bad situation. It really is.
yeah, it's, you know what? Anytime I get out and if you're ever dare be out there on a weekend, because it's that thoroughfare for people from the city to get up to their cottages up at the
Yeah.
tip of the thumb. And, yeah, 75 just isn't fast enough is what I've noticed. So,
And as far as Evan's remark, the number one customer for Radio Shack in Brown City when it was open was the Amish. They bought more cell phones than anybody because when they charged them with the generators, it would blow them up.
Is there any further comment related to the resolution? Hearing none, Leslie, a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Ballard,
Yes.
Commissioner Heberlein,
Yes.
Commissioner Ehart,
Yes.
Commissioner Black,
Yes.
Commissioner Sarkella,
Yes.
and Commissioner Lee.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Thank you, everyone. At this time, we're going to move into committee reports. We're going to start with Commissioner Ballard.
One thing I forgot to mention on my Marlette report is that the pool did open yesterday, finally,
Ah,
after a couple of year hiatus. It looks good up there. I know I was out doing some yard work and our new neighbor girl was standing out by the street with a towel. I said, "You going swimming?" She said, "Yep, waiting for friends." And they're new to the area, so it was nice to see neighborhood kids using it. CMH, I'll show you my packet, maybe, what I do with it. I'm gonna make my report brief, because this is our typical packet from CMH, so we'd be here all day. Anyways.
you guys got something against trees over there or what?
I don't know. Actually, I don't usually have one, but my laptop was failing last week. Since September 2022, CMH is up approximately 31 staff. They have 175 staff members. Not all in the building, some are off site, but they're what we would call fully staffed right now. The number of people seeking services continues to climb since a CCBHC grant. And this summer you will find a booth for community mental health at most, if not all, county festivals and events. Trying to get their faces out there and get rid of the stigma of mental health, because it's all levels, very minor to very severe. And that's been a real boost to getting more people in. The amount of young people has gone up considerably, which is good. They have minor issues that need addressing and they're finally getting the help. It's a lot easier to access services now. So that's all I have.
Good. Thank you, Roger. Gary?
Yeah, this morning, Nathan, Commissioner Black, Commissioner Sakala, myself, and Nick Lusher met at the Buildings and Grounds Committee. And I know it seems like we've been working on the animal control shelter for a long time in the drawings. And yes, we have. But we started out with a bigger building. I think everyone that's been attending meetings knew that. The cost was astronomical. So over the past few months, we've got with Boom Construction, which is doing the engineering drawing, and we reduced the building in size and still met state requirements. And other than a couple little things that we talked about this morning, changing some of the dog kennels around and some of the run area where dogs go out, I think we're pretty well satisfied with where we're at now and reducing the size, reducing the cost. We don't know exactly what that cost is going to be yet, but it'll be substantially lower than, I think, what we started out with $1.2 million. And so we're going to reduce that. And Nathan or Bill or John, if you want us to add any more to that when it gets to you, that's fine. At 11 o'clock, our personnel committee meeting met. And one thing I'll just cover is the yearly evaluation of our county controller, Nathan. And that went extremely well. And John, as you're the chairman of our BOC, I'll let you touch on that when it gets to you. But I want to tell every commissioner here and everyone that's in here today, he got above average on everything that he does. And we think he's doing a great job. Very personable out in the public to the courthouse, works well with people in our community, with the courthouse employees. And I think we've got one of the best sitting here today. So I'll let you did it better than I did this morning when we went through it. And so John asked him if he had any, we don't do the evaluation. He doesn't do it for commissioners, but we asked him if there was anything he had thoughts on about it as his commissioners. And he said, the only thing I can think of, he said, I'm feeling a little sad. He says, Commissioner Ehart is thinking about going to Pro-Am golf, and Bill's going to be his caddy. We might be losing 2 commissioners. So that was, I think it was something like that.
For me? I've been hearing you ever since you've been on this board.
Right, cut the feed.
Oh, goodness.
My bag.
That's the end of my report, and probably the last half, but wasn't all true.
We always enjoy a good joke. That was a good one.
I mean, Evans has a bag like Caddyshack too, with like plays music and everything.
Oh, yeah.
It's got the dispenser in it.
I wasn't born yet when that movie came out.
We'll have to watch it. I'm sure you can rent it.
On VHS.
Moving on.
Appreciate the report, Gary.
Sorry to cut you off.
We're done.
I guess I'm next. ITPC met a bit ago. Website should be up in September. And we approved some workstation purchases along with 50 public safety laptops that'll be going to all the law enforcement in the area. And also looking at some security awareness training along the way as well. Transportation, they passed their audit with no exceptions. Investment policy, we introduced that, so they'll be able to move some funds into my class. 7 buses have been on the horizon, but several of them didn't pass inspection for little things like paint, et cetera. So those are getting redone before they get back in the fleet or come to our fleet. And that's a couple things going on in transportation. Then Gary talked about buildings and ground, and we're just moving that animal shelter forward. It's I got a saying right now, let's build that doghouse.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Bill. Christine?
I have nothing to report.
Okay. I think Gary and Bill did an excellent job of covering what happened in buildings and grounds today. We had a planning commission meeting a couple weeks ago. During my commissioner report, I forgot to also say that I got a phone call from a clerk in Minden Township, and she had got a phone call from a resident. This is something everybody needs to be aware of because it's a new thing that we're all going to have to deal with. So as this renewable energy development comes to our community, it's not an issue with wind, but with solar, clearly the farm ground is basically being removed from production. Well, that creates an issue with PA 116. So PA 116 is the government program that is designed for farm ground preservation. And a lot of the ground that's in Santa Ana County is signed into PA 116. And Gary and I know all too well what PA 116 applications look like. We reviewed lots of them on the planning commission. So the clerk in Minden got a call from someone because they actually need to, so now that there's this solar development topic, there needs to be a way to develop that solar on ground that has PA 116. And I don't have all the details yet. And when I get them, I'll share them with the board. But essentially what happens is apparently there's a form that gets filed and that PA 116 on that ground simply goes into a pause for the period of the project. So if the project's a 30-year solar project, then PA 116 on that ground is paused for 30 years. When the project leaves, then it goes back into PA 116. But it is a new thing that all of our township clerks are going to be getting these types of phone calls, and they have no clue how to deal with that issue because they all know how to put ground into PA 116, but nobody knows how to deal with it coming out. So Darcy has a phone call into the PA 116 office. I've asked her that when she gets that information to share it with me so I can share it with everybody here, because it certainly will be a question that you guys are going to get at some point. So
So it won't actually be, PA 16 won't be taken out of PA 16, it just goes to a pause.
yep. So basically it's a tax incentive for the landowner. So that
Yeah.
tax incentive is simply paused for that period of time. So whatever that tax incentive is, that's paused for the length of the project. But then the ground's able to go right back into PA 116 once the project leaves. So, and it was a good question, and I wish I would have had an answer for her when she called. So we're gonna work together and get those answers, and I'll share them with everybody else. So when you guys get those calls, you'll be able to point people in the right direction. So that was planning commission. I covered buildings and grounds. The personnel committee met today. There was a wide variety. Matter of fact, personnel committee agenda was larger than our BOC agenda. We covered a variety of topics. The most, one of the biggest ones being the administrator evaluation. I appreciate everybody doing the evaluation, providing the feedback and scores. It's highly helpful for the personnel committee to do our job. And I am happy to say that Nathan scored extremely well on his evaluation. Nathan's evaluation will be set as highly effective for last year. And we're also going to recommend that his contract be extended by 1 year. That's the same thing we did last year with this highly effective evaluation. So plan to see that on a finance agenda soon, be in that contract extension.
What would that be the year for then, the next year?
So what it is Nathan has a 3-year contract.
So just be pushing, what's it gonna push the year to then for that?
2027, Nathan.
Okay.
Yeah, so he has a 3-year contract, and rather than letting that run out and then renewing, essentially, as long as Nathan is doing the excellent job that he's doing, I like the idea of renewing that. And it shows our administrator that we take it seriously and that we're happy to have him here. So with that, Nathan, I do want to say that the staff, department heads, elected officials, and residents of this county are fortunate to have you in this role. I feel you've excelled in this role. You go way above and beyond the call of duty. There's countless examples of you representing this county well, whether it be at the senior fair that you described today, or attending conferences and being in meetings with you within the county here or on Zoom or wherever it may be. I'm always pleased to have you speak on behalf of Sand Lake County. You do an excellent job. So thank you for your service. That concludes my committee report. Evans?
I had no committees the past weeks.
Okay,
Can I back up a little bit?
Sure.
I want to mention a couple of things on parks.
we'll give you some of John's time.
Okay, thank you. Work has started finally on the Lexington residence project. Way overdue, but it's good to see that there's some action out there. The Forester office store project, it's nearing completion. Now we're looking at, we'll probably decide tonight, the little block pavilion that's somewhat attached to that area. Redoing the soffits, and I don't know why they didn't get this done. It just came up, but we're probably gonna look at having the same contractor. He was considerably less on this main project than the others. So like I said, we'll discuss that tonight. So far this year, Forester, just camping revenues, no pavilions or cabins, is at $345,282. Lexington's at $79,520, which that's only 45 campsites. That's pretty good. And Evergreen is at $319,806. So they're on track. They'll probably, the two big parks will probably hit 500,000 plus this year. So that's very good news. I got a trial balance report from the treasurer today. Our investments are looking real good. They're earning through that sweep investment 5.6 something % interest.
Wow.
Right now, and we've got 999,000 plus in there for parks, which you'll see that start going down once this Evergreen project takes off the ground. So that's it.
Thank you, Roger. Does anybody else have anything further they'd like to discuss during committee reports? None. I appreciate everyone's report. That's going to move us through unfinished business because there is none. So we're going to move directly into new business. And we're going to start out today with FA 097-24, approval of 2024 current claims.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of current claims for 2024 identified on the accounts payable report dated June 25th, 2024 for the general bank account in the amount of $257,439.14.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Ehart. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 098-24, budget adoption amendments, appropriations and transfers.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the following amendments, transfers, and establishes the following accounts as listed.
Support.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Lee. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Lastly, today, we have FA 099-24, authorization of the site reviews for the Peck Memorial Park Playground Equipment Project.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the completion of the necessary site reviews from the State Historic Preservation and the National Environmental Policy Act assessment with services through Tri-Terra for the purpose of the Peck Memorial Park Playground Equipment Project at a cost not to exceed $6,600 with funding reimbursed from the Community Development Block Grant Fund for immediate approval.
Support.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Lee. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. That concludes new business. At this time, I'll call for general public comments. Are there any general public comments today? Hearing none, need for closed session or approval of closed session minutes. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our BOC meeting at 1:33.
Real quickly, I'd like to thank Eric Levine. He came out to our dedication for the Forester Playground Project a week ago last Saturday. They had a real good crowd there for their spring carnival. The timing was perfect. I had my cheat sheet for my speech I was going to give. A quick rain came through it, cleared everybody out except for park staff and Eric and a couple other people. So we cut a ribbon and we're good to go.
Good deal.
I want to thank Eric for the coverage the paper always gives us on parks.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Very good. Anything further, anyone?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn at 1:34. Is there support? Support from Commissioner Sarkella. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Or adjourn.